You wake up tired, not the normal tired, the kind that lingers even after sleep. Something aches, something feels inflamed, your digestion is off, your joints complain, your mind feels foggy, and when you go looking for answers, you fall into a maze. One article says cut fat, another says eat more. One expert praises supplements, another warns you away from all of them. Every solution sounds absolute. Every rule seems to cancel the last. So you start asking quieter questions. Why does my body feel like it's fighting itself? Why do healthy habits leave me confused instead of better? And why does aging feel less like wisdom and more like inflammation? This is the health mystery most people live inside. Not a dramatic diagnosis, just a slow, exhausting sense that something is off and no one is explaining it clearly. Here's where the conversation usually breaks down. Health advice talks at people. It talks in numbers, protocols, and warnings. But overwhelmed adults don't need more rules. They need a way to think again. What Healing Spices quietly proposes without shouting or promising miracles is a reframing. Not fix yourself, not biohack your way out, but understand what your body has been trying to say all along. The book starts from a simple observation. Many of today's chronic problems, aches, metabolic issues, immune confusion, share a common thread. Not germs, not bad genes, but a body stuck in a low-grade state of internal irritation. You don't feel it like a fever, you feel it like fatigue, like stiffness that lasts too long, like a sense that recovery takes more effort than it used to. And instead of rushing toward the latest superfood or supplement, the authors take a longer view, a cultural view, a historical one. They ask a surprising question. What if some of the most powerful health tools were never meant to be dramatic? What if they were ordinary, aromatic, used in kitchens long before they were studied in labs? This isn't nostalgia. It's not a return to folk cures or magical thinking. In fact, the tone is almost investigative. Why did entire cultures value certain flavors so highly? Why did turmeric, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, and black pepper travel trade routes like treasure? Why were they preserved, protected, and passed down? Not as medicine, but as daily companions to food. The book doesn't tell you to swallow powders or chase extremes. It talks about patterns, about repetition, about small signals repeated over time, shaping how the body responds to stress. And here's where the emotional clarity lands. Most people aren't failing their health. They're overwhelmed by contradictions. They're told to eat clean, but not told how real people actually live. They're warned about aging, but never shown how to age with agency instead of fear. They're blamed for inflammation without being taught what calms it. Healing Spices doesn't hand you a checklist. It gives you a lens, a way to see food not as moral, good or bad, but as information, as conversation, as something that quietly trains the body's responses day after day. One of the book's strongest insights is also its most grounding. Health isn't restored in emergencies. It's shaped in routines, not through intensity, through consistency. And that's deeply reassuring to people who are tired of being told to overhaul their entire lives. There's no shaming here. No, if you really cared, you'd do more. Just a steady reminder that biology responds to what it experiences often, not occasionally. The authors don't pretend spices are cures. They're careful about that. What they argue, calmly, persistently, is that these ingredients participate in the body's long conversation with stress, repair, and balance. That's a very different message than most health content. And for frustrated readers, it lands like permission to slow down. The deeper value of Healing Spices isn't what it tells you to add. It's what it asks you to reconsider. That health doesn't always come from doing more. Sometimes it comes from understanding better, from realizing that your confusion makes sense, that your body isn't broken, it's responding, and that small, intelligent choices made repeatedly can matter more than dramatic interventions made rarely. By the end, you don't feel instructed. You feel steadied, curious again, capable again, not because everything is suddenly clear, but because the noise has quieted enough for you to think. And in a health landscape crowded with certainty and fear, that might be the most healing thing of all.